participant and speaker of Khangminashi 7. With the changing scenario of Corona pandemic, I do hope that all of you are safe and do follow all the protocols to break the outbreak of this pandemic. Even saying this, we should move forward and we should, wait, I will just, okay. Yes, there are lots of disturbance. I have muted all of them. So actually we should move forward even if there is this pandemic also. So on this note, today we will have our lecture series Khangminashi 7 on a virtual platform for the first time in the history of KKT Imphal. Actually, Khangminashi series is a lecture series conducted under the Science Communication Program of KKT in collaboration with MitSna Imphal. Here the professional will talk about the present state of art in research in their respective field. With this few words, without wasting any more time, I would like to move forward with the program. I would like to give a small gist of the today's schedule. Today's schedule will start with a few words from the director, KKT Imphal, followed by the CEO of MitSna Imphal. Then I will hand over the session to our session chair, Professor Gangam Paumai from Berhampur University, Odisha. Then Professor Kiran will follow on with his lecture. Then we have our question and answer. Then we finally conclude the program. The recording of today's program will be uploaded on the YouTube channel of KKT Imphal, where anybody can see it later. So first of all, I would like to invite Dr. L. Jaidev Singh, Director of KKT Imphal, to share a few words.
A very good afternoon to all of you. Here we are gathering for this online community series. So on behalf of this organizing committee and as a director of this community series, I would like to give a brief account of the KKT Imphal. This KKT means Kangli Kongyan Tijinyon is an advanced research center which was inaugurated in collaboration with in association with the Longjong Trust and the Mekong Foundation Imphal. So, the main objective of this advanced research center is to perform the high-end research in the field of science and technology and to set up the state-of-art research facility with the support of all our fellow members who are working in and outside the country in different professional fields. The team, we have successfully organized the community series 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 5, 6 successfully in different schools, namely Comprehensive Concept School, Imphal, Slopeland Public School, Khongzong, New Era Higher Secondary School, Thoubal, and Model Higher Secondary School, Ibodonsna Higher Secondary School, with different professional scientists in their different fields. So today is the 7th community series under the Science Communication Scheme of the KKT Imphal. With these few words, I would like to thank the today's speaker, Professor Kiran Kumar, Deputy Director, Associate Professor, Department of Chemistry, Nanoscience and Nanotechnology, Shivaji University, Kolhapur, and also Professor Gangam Paumai, Department of Chemistry, Berhampur University, for kindly accepted in chairing this session. This community series 7 is organized in association with the MitSna and non-profit organization, MitSna. So with these few words, I would like to thank all of you for participating in this community 7 series. Thank you all.
Thank you, Dr. Jaidev, for your kind words regarding KKT and community series. Next, let's move forward to know more about what actually MitSna is. So I would like to invite Jiro Mairaba Maitei, CEO of MitSna Imphal. Mairaba, you can go full screen now.
Yeah, am I audible?
Yes, yes.
Okay.
You full screen and you can continue now.
Okay. Okay, is my screen visible?
Yes, you can continue.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, good evening, everyone. And I would like to welcome everyone to this 7th episode of Khangminashi series conducted by KKT Imphal in collaboration with MitSna. So I would like to give a brief introduction about MitSna taking this opportunity. MitSna is a non-profit organization working extensively to promote education in Manipur at par with the global standard. So with this, I would like to welcome everyone to MitSna also and this community series also. Till now, we have conducted 1 mega event. We have 9 main programs, 40 plus activities, and we have a lot of satisfactory people. So MitSna is actually a youth-driven non-profit group working towards the goal of providing quality and equitable educational resources and other facilities for a better Manipur. Our name and logo actually comes from the Manipuri word, or I should say Meitei word, mit. The S stands for summation and Na stands for ear. So it's a summation of the mit and the ear. So technically we used to be the eye and the ear of the society. So we have our mission and vision. Till now, we have conducted many activities. I'm optimistic here, assuming that people here has probably heard about our MitSna's mod, which was conducted at GM Hall last year. Apart from the mod, this is a massive open talk where we invite people and conducted a TED Talk-like stage here in Manipur. And TAT, Teacher Topic, is a competition organized by us where we invite people to compete on our platform where they are encouraged to teach any topic within a given time. Apart from this, we have Beyond the Door series where we interact with young people and try to inspire other people as well. And we have this Teach for Manipur, a program that we initiated this year considering the pandemic. Here, through our YouTube channel, we are providing free classes for class and students. And we have this book corner, which was launched recently. Book corner is a place where the book lovers of Manipur can read about book reviews and can meet book sellers, local book sellers of Manipur. We also conducted the quarantine quiz during this quarantine period where we try to make everyone inquisitive during the lockdown period. And then we have this Khangminashi series, which is a science popularization talk series of KKT, Kanglei Kongyang Tizin Yon, under Maitem Foundation and Longterm Trust in collaboration with us. We have this MitSna's interactive talks. This is a new kind of talk series where we invite distinguished people from foreign countries, and the session goes foreign countries, but mostly of Manipuri origin. And the session goes more like an interactive session rather than an actual talk. So I would like to encourage everyone to become a part of MitSna. So with the aim of helping as many people as possible, we always like enthusiastic volunteers. So please contact us for more information. Our members right now has around a strength of 130 people, and it has I should say a good distribution of the gender ratio and good distribution of the S ratio. Currently, we are also inviting people, even though we are led by a student, we are also inviting people who are in high school and who are also in professional levels like postdoctoral and who are established scientists to become a part of MitSna so that we can connect with each other and help each other for a better Manipur. So in all our activities, we face a lot of fund shortage. So we would need your support. So your help and support are highly needed. We would be highly appreciated if you donate to us, I should say. So if you would like to donate to us, you can use any of the options that we have provided here. So in short, if you want to visit us, if you want to know more about us, you can visit our website, mitsnahouse.com, or you can follow us at MitSna House Instagram, Facebook or our YouTube channel, or you can contact to us by emailing at any of the email ID that we have provided, or by ringing us. So with this, I would like to thank everyone, and I would like to welcome everyone to this seventh episode of the Khangminashi series. Thank you.
Thank you, Mairaba, CEO of MitSna Infal. Actually, for information to all, compiling what he has said, MitSna is a non-profitable organization, basically orchestrated by young students, and the average age of the student is in the range of 24 to 35. So at this young stage, they are determined to do something for the state, something for the country, and something for the world. So we wish you all the best, and I also request all the participants through this platform to kindly support MitSna, and let's have a better society. So continuing with the program, I would like to invite Professor Gangam Paumai, Department of Chemistry from Berhampur University, Odisha, to kindly chair the session of the talk to be given by Professor Kiran. Professor Gangam Paumai has done his PhD from Manipur University under the guidance of Professor W. Rameswar Singh from Department of Chemistry. His research interest is in the field of nanoscience and technology, material science, and he is presently leading a young and very dynamic research group in the Berhampur University, where he has initiated a new research area in the field, in the domain of nanoscience and nanotechnology in the Berhampur University. So with this few words, I would like to invite Dr. Gangam Paumai to kindly chair the session.
Okay, thank you. Welcome everyone, and especially thanks KKT Infal's chairmen and directors, Dr. Neeraj Luang and Dr. Zaideva Longjam, for such a platform such as Let's Learn Together, that means in Manipuri, Khangminashi, a series which is very good for the society as well as for the students and for the scholars. So today we have a very interesting and very appropriate topic, that means laboratory to society, a role of nanoscience and nanotechnology, and which is also going to speak by a very renowned academician as well as researchers. To introduce him, I have a very pleasure to introduce him. He have lots of achievements in the young years, and his name is Professor Kiran Kumar K. Sharma, a Deputy Director presently in School of Nanoscience and Nanotechnology in Shivaji University, Kolhapur. And his research area is in very diverse. That means radiation chemistry, photochemistry, and engineering and designing of hybrid nano materials for various applications like sensors or nanofibers, energy storage, etc. And there are numbers of there. I will say some that important 2-3 points. And he was previously worked in North Maharashtra University. He was there as a head of department in physical chemistry also. And he got a PhD in Pune University. After getting the PhD, he have lots of postdoctoral research experience, namely around the world in various institutes. Namely, if I name some of the esteemed and prestigious institutes like University of Paris, France, University of Rochester, New York, USA, and Department of Biotechnology, Pune University, and Medical Science Council, Harvard, Oxford, AE, CRS, Kolkata centers, and he has, and at the same time, he have a consultancy projects and development 3, that means in multinational and a DST young scientist, and also he have various ongoing research projects such as SDP-RUSA Maharashtra. And I welcome Dr. Sharma again. We invite you, and we are very proud and we are very enthusiastic to listen from you. And the time is in your hand.
Thank you, Professor Paumei. It's very fortunate to have to be presenting some of my research as well as my story in Khangminashi of KKT. And for this opportunity, I thank the director, Dr. Jaidev, and the consultant, Dr. Neeraj Luang, for giving me such an opportunity. And hopefully, I'll try to do justice on this, although I'll try to carry on with a story which I would like to come up with the final success of our virus coverage formulation during this lockdown period. So to start with, let me share my slide now. Okay. Full frame, where is it? Yeah. So is it visible now?
Yes.
Okay. Slideshow. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. So it is much more like what I have talked during the, the international conference that we had, but unfortunately, because of the time, I could not finish it up. But it is most of the similar thing I'm going to be presenting here. So what I'm going to be talking today is about how we can convert our laboratory experiments and bring it to society, and how nanoscience and nanotechnology can actually help in that. That is, and I'm going to be telling you some stories right from the very beginning and how we design things and so on. And I'll be sharing some of the results which we have recently been successful in doing so. So I'll not be detailing much about nanoscience and nanotechnology, but we can understand from the figure that I have demonstrated here. Over here, many subjects are there, and this each subjects are correlated. And if you look into the correlation, at the center there is a star, and that is what we call as nano. So it is, when I define nano in nanoscience and nanotechnology, it is both interdisciplinary and multidisciplinary. So it encompasses all interdisciplinary and multidisciplinary. Previously, we had interdisciplinary studies, we have multidisciplinary studies, but nano encompasses both of them. So nano is the science of modern technology that I would like to mention here, because you need knowledge of each and every one of this field so that you can actually be successful in working with nano. So as I said, they are highly inter and multidisciplinary branch of science, and this concerned with the study of very extremely small materials, or we can call it small things, and their scale is from 1 nanometer to 100 nanometer. For some of us who knows the size of an atom is about we have about 10 angstrom. Right? An atom has got about 10 angstrom. Now, if we look into atom and this 1 nanometer, then basically what is happening is we have some multiple atoms associated, and it will be formed. If it is 1, then it will be few atoms, and if it is 100, then there will be multiple atoms. So these are the agglomeration of atoms of materials in this scalable range. So that is where we call it nanomaterial. It can be any material. So this is how we define. Then it enables us to produce and synthesize new materials. Well, we do synthesize a lot of new materials, but however, with nanomaterials, it actually can produce unique properties. When we say unique, unique means which is non-existent. Means It's or it is existent, but it is super, efficient, or it is got much superiority than what it is existing technology is. So that is what nanomaterial can do, and that is why it is very fascinating for the new researchers, and also even for all researchers. That's how. And we can see that it initiated from the the famous talk by the father of nanoscience and nanotechnology. We call him as Richard Feynman. So he had an American Physical Society meeting in New York, and he stated this word that there is a large space at the bottom. So that is how nano started, and he delivered many lectures on nanomachines and so on. So that is how this scientist, the physicist, actually gave the name nanotechnology. Now, if I go to the application, various application of nanotechnology, then we have here that in each and every branch of science, or every field of science, or maybe in in humanities also, there are applications of nanotechnology. And what not, it has covered everything now, most of the things. So I wouldn't mention all these things, but one of the important things that I would be focusing is on environmental as well as textiles. So I'll talk a little about the water and as well as the fabrics. Now, where are we in India? Basically, in terms of publication of paper, we are third rank. So when you talk about nano-related, nanoscience and nanotechnology related articles, what you will see is India publishes, in all over the world in the third rank. India is third rank. However, if you compare China, US, or even in Japan, what they do is they also publish paper, but also they translate this research into technology. And that's why they're much more advanced. So technologically, they are much more advanced, and they are much more sound and rich also. So we are, with respect to publication, we are third. However, with respect to technology, when we count, we are not in the list of 20, I would say that, or even in the list of 50. So how do we improve that? So we need to look into ourselves, we scientists, as well as the those who are aspiring to be researchers and become a scientist, or those who have been working with the science. We have to somehow think down that how can I translate my research for the society, or how can I translate my research into some kind of technology which will be useful for the country, or as a nation as a whole. So that is what we have to do now. That is what we have to focus on now. And the government of India is now presently supporting through startups, and then giving projects which are at the level of proof of concept and so on. So that is what we get support from. Now, what are the challenges that we face in India regarding nanotechnology? Number one is, except few of the national institutes which are well known, like DRDO or ISRO or NCL to some extent, people are just doing research in nanoscience and nanotechnology, but never think about translating that into a technology. So basically, we as a university, colleges, or everywhere, what we do is we put the word nano, and then we go for a project and we get it, and then somehow we publish some paper, and that's it. That's the end of it. That's how we do. But things have changed now. We cannot, as a country, as a nation, we have to come out of this. And that is why I say lack of R&D and interests of indigenous companies. Like for example, if I give you an example of the smallest country like South Korea, where nanoscience and nanotechnology is one of the, they are leaders. Now, what they do, the companies participate, and most of the universities and the research institutes in some of the university, they are fully funded by either the LG or the Samsung. So basically, you have an ample of fund, and also when you are cooperating with industry, you have idea. Your idea can be, tested, and your idea can be born into some practical use. So that is what basically these countries, although they are very small, they are much far ahead of India. So we lack R&D, which is genuine, as well as we lack industry participation in this field. So that is number one challenge. Then number two challenge is the society as a whole. Like they do not know what nanoscience can do. So basically, what we are having is we are having a communication gap between the society and the science. The scientists are not able to translate to show that, okay, when we say that nanoscience and nanotechnology can do miracle, then they are not able to show that up. And so in general, there is a communication gap, and how we can bring this into the trust of the society, because after all, the taxpayer, these are the people in the society who we get funding from. So if they are really convinced, then basically they also help the scientists in achieving some of the target. So that is how basically the second problem is. The third problem is scarcity of translational research. So we may be publishing 100 of papers, or some may be publishing 600 of papers in their lifetime, but those papers, does it translate into some societal useful product or something which can be used? No. So almost 99.5%, I would say, of us ends up in just by publishing the paper, and then not able to translate our research into some useful thing. So that is what we lack of. We need to get into this mode of translational research, where whatever we do, we have to kind of have a background that why I am doing this is because it basically can solve this problem and the issue of the nation or the society at large. So this is the challenges, the three challenges that I have basically identified. There may be more, but what I feel from my perspective, from my point of view, is these 3 points are very challenging. Now, how do we solve this? Although we have challenges, we need to solve, and we need to solve through this. I'm showing this figure because these are the wheels of development, and this, if we understand correctly, these 3 wheels, then we can basically go into the translational research mode. So what the basic fundamental will is individuals, and these individuals, I was an individual before, but now I have come to organization scale. Whereas if I continue my job, who knows, I may be going up to, or somebody may be going up to the institutional level also. So let me try to explain this, and then let me correlate to this with the what we call as technical readiness level or innovative readiness levels. So these are the new terminologies which we need to understand now. I understand when we studied during our PG or PhD time, we never knew what is TRL. And even after, my postdoc also, I never knew what is TRL. But after after going through some kind of what, if I want to develop a product, if I want to bring this into market, my research, then what kind of things we need. When we look into it, then this such thing comes. And when we see the TRL levels, and these wheels, they match very well. So that is exactly what it is. So now, basically, the whole three wheels, when it moves together, then the nation develops. Like, for example, institution is nothing but the government. And in case of us, it is Indian government. So the Indian government can make policies when the three wheels are moving, and it will go to on the developmental side. And that is what we call as capacity building, or when all the three wheels are made to move, and when the nation is developing, then that is what we call as capacity building. Now, in this, the basic wheel is what we call as individual, and this individual includes common people and students, PG students, and research students, and of course the young faculty who are trying to get some kind of job or in research or so on, who are trying very hard. So these are the category of this basic foundation. And when this wheel moves, then the organization moves. The organization includes stakeholders like university experts, scientists, faculty, then participating collaborators. Like, it can be, if I have a foreign collaboration, that becomes, at organization level, because individual level, it is there, but then it cannot be put into paper format. So when you want to do some as paper format, you have to do through organization. So basically, that is what it is. So this is us, those people who are doing active research and those who are holding position. Then this is us. So we have spent at least some 20 years of our life in research and innovation. So basically, we are considered as some kind of in the organization. Now, when these two things moves, then the institution moves. But in order to, in between these two wheels, before the institution, how we can move the institutional wheel is dependent on what we call as critical thinking, which includes reasoning, problem solving, and evaluation. So these are the three critical things which we need to put in. And this is our job, because basically the individual can bring problem, they can identify problems, and they can basically have very, promising problem, which would be very helpful to the society as well as the globe at large. So how to kind of make it work is dependent on the organization, because the organization has to design certain things where you can basically make him work or achieve his target. So the reasoning basically is one of the lowest order of skill in this representation in the critical thinking. And what it depends on is our basic what we call as learning. So what we have learned from our school, what we have learned from our college, what we have learned during our student time, whatever the basic fundamentals, whether it is science, whether it is humanities, whether it is arts, communication, and everything. So the reasoning can be done only when you understand these basic things. And that is where one needs to be, very thorough with the principles and the fundamentals of whatever the field they have, so that you can start reasoning the societal issues and local need-based problems. So these stakeholders, they are basically, as I said, the undergraduate students, PG students, research students, and the young faculty. And then next step comes what we call as how to solve this problem. So the individuals will identify with the reason the problems in the local need-based issues. Now, this problem solving, how do we approach? Now, we have to design in such a way that with the evolving social changes, we need to design such a curriculum so that we can introduce them new things where they can solve this. If there is any problem, then you can solve through this. So those are the curriculum that needs to be designed. And if there are, if something is introduced, or if something new thing comes, then during that time we do not have time for designing curriculum, but we need to give direct hands-on training during that time. If something new is coming, then that particular thing has to be given training to these individuals. And then they will also get exposure. When they get exposure, they will know how to work in a setup, and then they can perform how they can perform well. And these stakeholders, as I said, these include experts, and then of course these faculty, collaborators, and of course the industrialists, which are important part of it, because syllabus designing, curriculum designing, whatever that the students are being produced, they need to be competent with industry, and the industry and the experts and the faculty and the scientists needs to be in needs to have the same gloves in their hands, because if we fail that, then we wouldn't be able to train these students to go to the higher level skill. So that is what exactly is this middle skill level is. Now, the third and the highest skill order is what we call as evaluating. So now once the individual comes through these two stages of skill, then he has to face the evaluation skill. And this will depend on the performance, compatibility as being trained, and then employability, adaptability, and progression. How does he progress? Once he identified the problem, does he adapt with the curriculum and the training, etc., and whether he has been progressing or not? So these all are being, evaluated by stakeholders from industrial, and the link is the industrial linkages, and the institution. Institution is the governing body. So, and that is how we basically attain the highest skill. Now, once we pass this highest skill, then what we do, the individual goes on the creation mode. When we create something from some issues that we started from reasoning, then that becomes a national policy. So that is how basically when you create, when you're able to, after passing through all these skill sets of level, then if you're able to create, then that is what it goes to the implementation of policies, and it goes to the government policies directly. So everything, when we have a capacity building in our system, then critical thinking is one of the most important and significant thing that we need to think about. And as I belong to the university level, I really believe in this, and we need to design certain curriculum and training programs to impart the specific, or what we call is whatever is necessary for the challenges and the reasoning that the individual has to solve that problem. So that is how we are. Now, let us try to look into what we call as technology readiness levels. So this is now very relevant, because the government of India is now most interested in trying to do science which is useful to the society, or we can call it a technology transfer, or you make it into some product. So that's what is C. So in a simple layman language, I have got some European Commission definition, and this is what directly I have done. It ranges from TRL 0 to TRL 9. And TRL 0, if you look into the individual, that's what we see, idea. That's unproven concept, no testing has been performed. Then it becomes TRL 1, that becomes basic research. Means he has to know what are the fundamentals that is required for understanding or for solving that problem, and he has to look into the principles, postulate, and the experimental that we prove which are available, whether his idea can be applied or not. So that is what we call as TRL 1. TRL 2 is technology formulation, where if you have like the concept and then application, you go for that particular thing. Then TRL 3 is applied research, means once you have the concept that, okay, I can do this, I can make it this thing to work, then you go for the applied research, which you prove in your laboratory and you do some testing, and that is what we call as proof of concept. Now TRL 4 is small scale prototype. It's a very rude prototype, and you can say that, okay, my experiment has worked. Now I propose this design or some kind of workable solution in terms of some assembly, that, okay, if I do this, then it will work. So that is how you have a prototype, and that is you can make it in the laboratory. And TRL 5 is large scale prototype. Here also you have to keep on thinking that, okay, I have made up a laboratory representation. Now how can I improve? Here comes all the collaboration here, like right from every science and engineering, or even from humanities also. So here, when you want to make a large scale prototype, it needs every input from every aspect, and then you need to design that in that way. Then once you have a large scale prototype tested, then you have a prototype system which are intended for direct contact with the environment, means, or the population. That is what it is. And then once you are successful in that, then it becomes TRL 7, where you need to demonstrate that it is working. So you have to kind of demonstrate that you have to operate it and show it, and the way that how you, it is just like a machine, purchasing a new machine or new car, where if you don't know how, means whether you may or know, or you may not know, but when you go to the car shop to purchase your car, he will definitely explain, this is the key, this is how the light is turned on, and so on. So basically that demonstration is required. Then TRL 8 means you have to overcome the manufacturing challenges. Means if I have to produce a large scale, then what are the things that I require to do that, and what are the bottlenecks that you have to identify, and you have to overcome that. And TRL 9 is basically, it's commercialized. So that means that from TRL 0 to TRL 9, and many of us who are working here, I think we can basically feel ourselves where we are. So we are either in the TRL 0 to TRL 1. So this is the gap that we as academic institutes need to look into it and try to fulfill at least some part of it. So that is what, because basically technology formulation is, or most probably we go up to TRL 9. So where we do some experiment, and then of course we publish some paper. So TRL 3 is the limitation of academic institute, and of course for the national institutes, they go beyond those things. So this is how it is. And many people uses ideation and so on. So let me try to explain that encompassing these technology readiness levels and where they come into. So when we say idea of research, then it covers from TRL 0 to TRL 3. So this is what we call as ideation. So any research, when you are doing within this, then that is research is called as ideation. Then when you are able to come up from that, and then you are able to go from TRL 4, TRL 4 and TRL 5, then that is what we call as you are able to make a prototype. And that includes proof of concept both at laboratory scale as well as at the commercial level. So scale up prototype, we call it, right? And then TRL 6, 7 includes validation. So whatever that you are proposing, it needs to be validated. And here, validation, there are many what we call as agencies. Like for example, in USA, it is FDA, and even in India, if it is related to disinfectant or any kind of thing, you need a FDA approval. Or any laboratory cannot do. You may be able to demonstrate in your lab, but the lab, if it doesn't have national recognition, then you need to go and test the same thing to some other lab by paying money so that you can validate, you know, what you what kind of things that you have demonstrated. So that is one of the thing, and this is where, you know, many bottlenecks comes into picture, because in one of our this thing we found that, okay, they asked us, okay, you are saying that this is the composition, you prove it to us that exactly this much amount is there. And their questions are very valid, because they say that if some company comes up tomorrow and say that we are also having such kind of formulation, then or if there is a what we call as duplicate product, then how do we confirm? So that is why the agencies ask certain very valid questions, and that need to be answered scientifically and then proved. So that is what you know, the many bottlenecks comes into this picture. And then when we go to the 8 and 9 is production, when here basically is the commercial problem. So you have to build up a business model so that how you can sell your product, and you have to look out for people who are ready to invest. So this is what basically is related to what we commonly known as ideation, then prototype, and validation and production. So this can be, you know, in both the terms, you can basically understand very easily. Now, there is another measure, what we call as innovation readiness level. So this is little different than what we call as TRL. So innovation is something like, if you have an idea, then you propose a business concept. I guess these are much more applicable to software engineers and so on, because you know, like they do not have laboratory experiments to be done or validation and so on. So this is mainly with respect to some business level. So that is what we call as innovation readiness level. So here also, you know, if you have an idea, you develop a business concept, then you have to go through the idea, whether your idea is being already implemented by somebody else, that you have to look into it. Then if there is no action taken on that, then you have to plan your actionable thing, and then you can start you know, like scaling up and so on. So innovation and TRL, there are little difference out here. That, and as I said, as a scientist, we are on TRL side, whereas for those people who are computer engineers, who are software engineers, they're all the innovation type. Right. So now, with this, let me, since we have the background, I will also follow this kind of thing from the background that, okay, I need to be trained first, and that is what the training. So my training actually started at Sani School Imphal, where I studied from class 6 to class 10th, and then after 10th, I had to come to this a college. That's, I think, secondary school. And then I passed my secondary school in the Singjammai. I have forgotten the school, but then I pursued my graduation from DM College of Science in BSc Chemistry Honors, and then continued with chemistry in chemistry department, Manipur University. So that is how my journey started. And then after my journey, I was selected as a JRF in UGC CSR Kolkata, and then that's how I started my journey with my PhD. So this is, fortunately, I was fortunate enough to go to UK during for a year during my PhD time, and most of my work was being carried out there, and I got my work done in free radical reaction with azo dyes, and we were the first people to identify that the dyes have different tautomers, and these dyes can react differently with different oxidizing or reducing radicals, which is created by pulse radiolysis or radiation chemistry as such. So this is how I completed my PhD. And from there, I was interested in some biology point of view. And here, very interesting thing is one of the supervisor who was supervising me during in this after my PhD as a research associate was he had some idea that, okay, alta is a dye which actually is used by many Indians on the occasion of some ceremony. So they paint their feet and leg, or sorry, their feet and hands with this alta, and this color is red and it never goes away. So my supervisor was working on protein translational pathway. So he was very interested in staining the protein, so to identify that. And one of the commonly used stain that for staining protein is Kumasi blue. Kumasi is blue. Blue is a dye which is specific to protein, and it's very expensive. So his idea was that when it can dye our skin and it doesn't go away, that means what? It is basically, skin consists of mainly proteins, and these proteins, if this dye is sustaining there, that means it is holding very tightly with the proteins. So his aim was to compare this alta with Kumasi blue, and my part was to find out what are the components of this alta, and that we were able to do, and we did publish a paper, and then we filed a patent, and the patent is still active, and this was my first US patent. Then this is what I was trained in the protein chemistry and protein dyeing and so on. Then second thing was how to look into in vitro study. In vitro study means what we call as we use live cells, and then we treat them with some kind of toxic metals, and then see how their protein regulation affects. So basically what we do is we treated the cells with lead, and then it got to what we call as apoptosis mode. But when we introduce lead as well as hemine into the cell culture, then what we see is that the lead effect was compromised by the hemine. So, and we saw that the cells actually synthesize hemoglobin, and that is why you see from left to right of this test tube that it turns red. So this is what we were able to show, and we did some of this experiment, and I was able to quantify how much iron is sufficient enough to synthesize how much hemoglobin. So that is how the correlation, and so this is how I was trained in biology also, and further biology was trained in my period as a postdoc, NIH postdoc at the University of Rochester, New York, and where we studied direct effect of radiation on DNA, and we use oligodeoxynucleotides as well as we use plasmid DNA. These are the real DNA, and we could find that direct damage can induce, double strand break and the single strand break, and from those ratio we could prove that direct effect has got more lethal or have more chances of mutation than indirect effect. So basically this is what my postdoc actually was trained at. So I had chemistry, free radical chemistry, I had organic chemistry, I had this protein chemistry, I have this direct radiation studies and so on. So with this multiple background, I was interested in, when I was in US, I was very much interested with nanoscience and nanotechnology, and that's how my journey started. So with basic fundamentals of all this, I started working on nanocatalysis, and I thank Dr. Neeraj, because his help was also very much required. He had helped me very a lot, and we were able to do good things. And this is how I choose nanocatalysis, because during my PhD, I had this fast kinetics as my PhD topic. And when we study the dye degradation with radicals, then that's quite a very fast process. That's what we call as fast kinetics. So, and one of the reason is that catalysis is used in industries, many industries. And like, for example, even for vanaspati ghee preparation, you still use nickel as a catalyst, ready nickel, we call it. So basically, this is how it is. Now, my issue was that, okay, I want to do nanocatalysis, but how do I get, very uniform and homogeneous distribution of sizes and the shape? Because there is a report, there is a multiple reports that during that time it was floating around, that even if there is a slight changes in the shape and the size, then the catalysis can be affected. So these are the paper that we see that size and the surface area actually factors in the nanocatalysis. So while trying to look into the method of synthesis, I came across soft template and the hard template. And hard template, of course, you can have a very homogeneous distribution of shape and size. However, while retrieval of the nanostructure that you have synthesized using the hard template, such like alumina and so on, what is happening is you need to use very harsh way. That means you have to treat with strong acid, even hydrofluoric acid, to get rid of the hard template. Now, because of that, what is happening is the nanostructure that you obtain is no more in its native state. So it is either passivated by the, whatever the washing process and the cleaning process that you do. So on the other way, there is a soft template, and soft template, we, I could understand this because I remember during my MSc time, I had done an experiment called as critical micelle concentration formation experiment. So, and we know that these are surfactants which are basically which form CMC. So soft templates are based on all these surfactants, the various types of surfactants, and you can tune the oil and the co-surfactant ratio, and then you can tune it to different shape and size. And that is exactly what you can see is that, you know, when you have this template, soft template, which is based on liquid crystalline mesophase, you can get hexagonal phase, cubic, and lamellar phase. So these are the three phases where I can kind of synthesize nanowires, nanoparticles, as well as nanoseeds. So these are the two interesting points. And here I would like to thank my spouse, Dr. Geeta Sharma, because it is through her that I learned all this technique, and I have put into use of it. So then what is the next step is how do we take up this reduction process? Because chemical reduction is not homogeneous, and there are many electrochemical reduction, and so it has got both advantages and disadvantages. But since I studied radiation chemistry, I choose radiolytic reduction because we know it is being proven that it is advantageous in such a way that the synthesis can be achieved at room temperature, and then also the distribution, the nucleation is very homogeneous, so hence the distribution of size is very homogeneous. So that is how this thing, and then basically you can control the dose, and then you can isolate the nanomaterials easily by washing with certain organic and water as such. So this is a very simple way of expressing how this water radiolysis produces very reactive species like hydroxyl radical, which is one of the most powerful oxidizing agent, and then solvated electron, and even the hydrogen atom that you produce. So basically we can scavenge out, if we want to study oxidation, then we can scavenge out these two, electron, solvated electron, and the hydrogen atom. Okay, and then if you want to study only reducing, then you can scavenge out this oxidizing agent. So likewise in our since we are using metal or metal nanomaterials as such, it requires to be, the precursor has to be reduced. So we basically scavenge out these oxidizing agents by using what we call as scavengers. And you can see as I said, the hydroxyl radical is the most oxidizing. It's about 2.7 volt, and whereas reducing minus 2.9 volt is the high. It's really is the highest. There's not solvated electron reducing power is the highest that is available. So we can create this, and we can do the reduction of this metal nano, and that's how we did. And we synthesized these porous platinum nanostructures using this solid liquid crystalline mesophase soft template method, and we were able to obtain by varying those nanoballs, platinum nanoballs and platinum nanowires. These nanoballs were actually, they were porous, and they had around 60 nanometer in diameter. So that is what we did, and we use this as a NanoCatalyst for the electron transfer reaction between hexacyanoferrate. This is very simple reaction where we did during our experiments in our PZ time. This reaction is very easy one. So now, and the monitoring is also done by using a simple UV visible spectrophotometer. Of course, if you want to do the activation energy, you need a Peltier setup for that, because you need to do a temperature dependent study. So that is what you need. But these were very simple thing and simple reaction. And of course, the most commonly known reduction of paranitrophenol to paraminophenol. Paraminophenol has got importance as such because they are the ingredients of a drug, what we call as API. API is something which you require, and para-aminophenol is one of the API where you require for synthesis of any kind of drug. So that is what it is. So then we also did the Suzuki Miura reaction using this, and we could get this. And not only that, we also did run experiment on how to convert this chromium-6, which is toxic and carcinogen, to chromium-3, which is non-carcinogenic. So basically, this chromium is introduced into all the water bodies from industries, leather industries, and so many industries which are producing chromium-6. So basically, if you don't convert this chromium-6 before release into the water body to chromium-3, then whatever the habitants of the aqua habitants, and when the human consumes, then basically it has got a greater risk of cancer. So you need to kind of convert that. And one of the thing that we tested was with these nanostructures, what we tested was we could convert using formic acid the chromium-6 into chromium-3 in sunlight only. So you don't require any other thing, but you just expose to sunlight and automatically the chromium-6 can get converted into chromium-3 state. And the other thing is degradation of dye, which everybody, like those people or those researchers who are dealing with TiO2 or semiconductor, they always do this dye degradation other than the what we call solar cell application. So basically, we did the dye degradation with this nanostructure also, and we found it very interesting. And of course, this report, these are being published, in RSC Advances, Langmuir, and JPCB, and so on. So then the latest thing that we found out was that these nanoparticles, particularly gold, we look into a very short time of a few nanoseconds, and we found that the gold nanoparticle actually forms a complex with the substrate. The substrate that we took was an amino acid which is called as tyrosine, and this tyrosine forms a complex with a gold nanoparticle, and this complex basically alters the reaction pathway. So basically here, why this is important is, tyrosine is important. Why? Because whatever the happiness feeling that we have, and that's a byproduct of tyrosine degradation in our metabolism. So in normal cases, in our metabolism, the proteins are degraded, and the tyrosine containing proteins, the tyrosine is converted into what we call as dopamine and the dityrosine. And dopamine is produced largely in our normal metabolic pathway, and that is why we have energy. Energy in the sense we have a we are active, and that is one of the reason, because it's a neurotransmitter. Dopamine is a neurotransmitter that is the byproduct of metabolism of tyrosine containing protein in our body. So when we introduce gold, what we found is that it reverses. So dopamine is undetected. So that means what? If some medicine contains gold, and gold nanoparticle, maybe there is report that it is not toxic to human beings. But however, with our study, what it has showed is that it can disturb the tyrosine metabolism in our body, altering the neurotransmitter concentration going down. So what it does, it has a potential of, what we proposed was that it has a potential of affecting, and we were able to prove the mechanism through theoretical calculation, computational, as well as experimental, and we showed that the formation of dityrosine in the presence of gold is more, because during the reaction time, the tyrosine only is not reacting, but the complex of tyrosine and the gold nanoparticle is reacting with the oxidizing agent, and therefore it is not forming dopamine as a major product, but instead it is forming dityrosine as a major product, which is the opposite of the general metabolism. So basically what we were able to show was that although we are doing some fundamental science, but it has a potential, very high potential of, proving the cytotoxicity, or what we call as the toxicity of evaluating the toxicity of nanomaterials through this study. Although we plan to follow up this into, taking into proteins and all these things, but we get little bit upset because sometimes the machines are very expensive, and then we cannot access to it as always 24/7. So those are some of the drawbacks. So besides that, what I'm carrying out is some of the relevant things that are very absolutely essential to the society. So what I was having in my mind was that the water, although we get water during the natural calamities, flood happens, and we actually in the middle of the sea of water, we don't have anything to drink. So during that time, neither you have electricity nor power to filter it. So what do we do? Can we use nanotechnology in that? So that was the question that that was ringing into my mind, and somehow like I wanted to solve that issue, that without power, without anything, I want to use the nanotechnology to get into this problem, to solve this problem. So that is the idea or ideation that, and how to solve that? I have used some natural way to do that, and let me see this. So this is the reason why I did. Okay, so this is my idea was to solve in India problem, and where 100 million of people live under this water, and of course during the natural calamities such as flood, it's extremely important for diseases to be contained, to have a potable water. So that's a drinkable water. That was my aim. And of course, you have traditional disinfection, and that basically is done through this. So we have a water source, then we do coagulate with alum by using alum, then sedimentation occurs, then there is a filtration, very rude filtration, and then we do disinfect by using either ozone, UV, or chlorine. Okay, so then after this disinfection, then this water becomes potable for drinking. Now, what are the challenges for using this kind of thing? Of course, ozone, UV, and everything, you need some kind of energy, either in the form of electricity or either in another form of reaction. So you need some driving energy to do this process. And the major issue with what we call as readily available tablets like chlorine tablets, where you can put it in and then you can disinfect the water after all this process. And what is happening is it produces what we call as disinfection byproducts, DPBs. And these DPBs are known to be carcinogens. So basically, when you are using chlorine tablets, that is, like just when you don't have any means, then you normally use this. So this is what the reaction is, and these are well known, and I want to overcome the use of all this energy as well as this. So that's what it is. Now, when we come to nanotechnology based filtration, one of the most advanced filtration technology is what we call as carbon nanotube purification, which is developed by NASA, and it is being, long time this technology was there, but they only revealed in 2016. So basically this contains an array of single wall carbon nanotubes, and which is, which is called as acoustic nanotubes. And by applying a small voltage, this carbon nanotubes undergoes piezo process, so piezoelectric process, and so they move forward and backward. And during that process, in between these two carbon nanotubes, only water molecule can pass through this. No other, except other atoms, but only water molecule other than the solid materials or liquid materials, which is smaller than that, the water molecule can pass, but then and water molecule is quite small. When you look into the waste product, if you look into compare the sizes of the other contaminants that is present, then water molecules. So this is the most pure form of water that you can get through this carbon nanotube array, and it works on the piezoelectric process. And this has been used in, well, Apollo 11 went to the moon also. So that's why I said they have this, because in space there is a saying that you don't waste anything. So they purified all the waste through this process, and then they use it. So that is how it is. And when you look into in India, Tata Swats was one of the first nanotechnology based water purification unit. You have many water purification units such as RO, then UV treatment, and so on. But without all this, Tata company, they produced this Tata Swats, and this they were able to incorporate silver nanoparticle into the rice husk. And that is the innovation that they did, and they were successful, and they come out with this. And in just 5 to 6 years back, there is from IIT Madras, there's a professor who has led the production of this another multifunctional nanotechnology based filtration unit, which are also based on silver nanoparticle and aluminum, as well as it is the base is chitosan. That chitosan is basically animal means seafood waste. So this chitosan is derived from that, and he actually incorporated silver and aluminum nanomaterial into it, and then he could prove that it can kill bacteria as well as it can also remove arsenic. And that is where this in the market this is available now. So why people are so much on the silver is because silver from ancient times is being known to have antimicrobial property. So in all the hospitals previous also, even now also, all the scissors, all the knives, those are coated with silver. Why? Because when you are doing some surgery and when you're cutting to human tissues, then if there is some bacteria onto that, then what will happen? It will basically kind of increase the ailment rather than improving it. So those surgical instruments and equipment needs to be coated with silver, and this is generally from ancient times this is being done. And we know that silver has a broad spectrum, is a broad spectra antimicrobial metal. So from when we go to silver nanoparticle, it is much more robust. So that is why silver is this thing. So here comes my idea. Well, sabudana, what we call as sago, it is derived from this plant, and it's a staple food in all over India. So I know that in Manipur, this may be a little bit distinct, odd, but this is staple food in outside Manipur or outside Northeast. So sabudana, what happened is, what I observed was when I was eating my breakfast during my, after my PhD, when I had some time, then I used to eat sabudana khichdi as well as sabudana vada and all those stuff. So when I look into the process, then sabudana is some kind of bowl. It's a bowl, it's a dried bowl, and before you prepare anything, you have to soak this into water. And when it absorbs water, it swells, the size increases. So this is where I took an opportunity to, like, I put in my idea that what if I can have a soak that into a silver solution, then the silver ions will go inside the sabudana. And so then if I can reduce at that particular site while it is being shocked, then what will happen? Then the silver nanoparticle will be formed. And when silver ion as an atom goes in, and then when silver nanoparticle is formed, the size, basically atomic size, is agglomerated into 10 to 20 atoms, and then it enlarges. So this is exactly what I was able to do, with certain experimental details, which is, I'm not going to be sharing that experimental details, but we were able to do. Then the second part is, okay, I cannot use that swollen and this, but I have to dry it so that I can use as a cartridge, filtration cartridge. It's a material which I can fill it into cartridge of a filter. So that is what exactly this. And then I have to also test whether the bacteria, it kills either all the bacteria or not. So that is what it is. And also, since silver, consumption of silver in excess is hazardous to health, I need to check whether how much silver is being leached out from the trapped silver, and whether it is okay or not as per the WHO. So that is what, and finally, how efficient that water purification system is. So that is what it is, and this is the brief process. And what we did was, we were able to carbonize, which I will be showing the result, as well as we demonstrated the antimicrobial activity by agar plating, as well as what we call as MPN measurement. And also on the filtrate, we did the ICP-MS to determine how much silver ions are being leached out after the filtration. So this is the process that we did, and what we got is, we see that this is the AZ on your left hand. What you see is, this is AZ ion loaded swollen sabudana, and then when I did the process, then it turns into blackish and yellowish. So that means that the silver is getting converted into silver nanoparticle, because it has got a plasmon resonance, which is tinge yellow in color. And this is the carbonized part, and you can see that if you don't carbonize for adequate appropriate time, you will see always the black things, whereas here you see that it is fine now, means there is no residue that is being carbon, which is not being carbonized. Now the upper shows without the silver nanoparticle, and the lower shows with the silver nanoparticle. So we have the control as well as with the silver nanoparticle, and we use this material to, okay, so this is the characterization. When we show the XRD, then we show that the silver nanoparticle is present in the sago, which is treated with silver. Now, this is how we did our filtration. We use a very simple plastic syringe, which is about 50 ml syringe, and this is the procedure that we carried out. What we did here is, important thing is, we took distilled water, which is already autoclaved, and then we spike with bacteria into this. So if I have 1 liter, I spike with some bacteria, and this bacteria, if after filtration, if it doesn't kill or if it doesn't get removed, then you will see on the plating you will see that there will be bacteria growth. So that is actually the process that we did, and this was done under a bioseptic cabinet called as laminar flow. So to maintain the aseptic condition. Now here are the results. This is only distilled water without spiking, so we do not see, and because it's already autoclaved, so you don't see any growth. This is spiking before filtration. So before filtration, we took some aliquot of the spiked water and plated, and we see the growth. Whereas this is after the filtration, the filtrate, an aliquot of the filtrate was taken, and we see this. Here also, these are some contamination, growth, because if this bacteria was to be growing, then it should be like this. So these 2 bacteria are, they are from cross contamination that we believe. So what we see is that our sabudana, a silver nanoparticle incorporated sabudana, works fine in both removing gram-positive and the gram-negative bacteria. So that is one of our first proof of concept. And then secondly, what we did was, who knows, like the bacterial dose may not be, you may be putting little dose of bacteria, so it may be removing it. What if it is larger? So that is one of the design that we had, and we look into it, and we went up to 500 microliter of bacterial load. So when we do that, we do not even see any this thing from the bacteria eluted from the filter. So that means whatever the bacteria that is coming in contact with the sabudana as incorporated material is being killed. Not only that, as I said, we want to have a potable water for those natural calamity affected people like flood, etc., or where the water is either in pond or so on. So what we did was, we had 3 ponds nearby us in the university and surrounding. So that is what we have taken 3 samples from those, and what we did was, we take an aliquot before filtration through the cartridge. We take an aliquot and we took that as a control, and after filtration, what we see is the plates are all clear, whereas before filtration there are numerous of bacterial growth that is taking place. So what it means is that you can also decontaminate natural source of water. Means from wherever pond that you take, it will be, when you pass through this cartridge, it will be like the bacteria will be killed. So the next test was MPN test, which is, basically this test is essential because it actually gives you the potable water level, means whether the water is potable for consumption or not. That actually is given by MPN test, and it depends on the coloration. So this coloration basically changes if there are bacteria, because there are numerous types of bacteria that is present in the normal pond or normal lake and so on, or river. So basically there will be different coloration of the solution. If there is no bacteria, the coloration changes will not be there. So that is the basic fundamental, and this is a solution that you prepare, and MPN test kits are also available. One can use that, and that is exactly what we did. We basically took the 3 natural ponds in the lake, and then what we did was, you can see that these are the triplicate. When we do experiment, we have to make also sure that they are statistically significant, and we do all in triplicate form. And you see the coloration out here before the filtration. So it dark yellow, then there are non-coloration also, and here you see the variation, and this coloration can be assigned to numbers, and these numbers are greater than 1,000. Okay, so that I will be showing later on. Whereas after filtration through the cartridge, what you see is there is no color change. That means whatever the bacteria count that is there, it is almost not there. So that is what we did this test for 3 of these, and then these are the results. What we can see is here the MPN index. So it is, you can see one of the lake is, it's 1,600, and it's all 1,600. And these numbers are negligible. So these are potable water. So this is how we proved through MPN test that our silver nanoparticle incorporated sabudana is basically working well with the water purification system. And the other thing is to test, as we say, that this water, as it contains silver, we need to make sure that while consuming it, which it should not be toxic. And these are the level, and according to WHO, like the AZ, parts per billion should be below 100. And what we get here is through multiple tests, what we get here is triplicate. What we get here is we get almost negligible. At the same time, we have the bacterial filtration efficiency not lost during this filter, up to 3 liters for 7 gram. That is what we have tested. So this is now around TRL 4. If I 4 to 5, I have to now develop into some kind of a good prototype so that I can get into this. So this is where I'm stuck up to, and we are trying hard to do this, with the help of Dr. Niraj. So this is what it is. And the third thing is the second part of this application of nanotechnology comes into textiles. And nanotextiles, when we look into nanotechnology in textiles, you may or may not believe it, but these are the things that are now visible. That is self-repairing, flame resistant, ultra strength, UV protection, sensing and stain repellent, antibacterial, smart textiles, then self-cleaning textiles. So these are the different types of fabrics that you can see in the market, some of them, as well as people are working on it. Now, one of the most interesting thing is antibacterial. That is where antimicrobial we are concerned with. And because of this understanding, what we were more interested because in Kolhapur, where Shivaji University is located, there is a place called Uchchatar inside the Kolhapur district. And this is what these are known as Manchester of India, because they have around 35 spinning mills and 1,25,000 power looms, and they produce, an annual turnover of rupees 8,000 to 10,000 crore only through textile. So basically, this was the reason why we wanted to go for nano fabrics with antimicrobial activity. And this is the overall world consumption. And here you see that medical, which is light green, is about 7.6%. This was before the corona pandemic, this COVID-19 pandemic. Now this demand I don't know how much percentage it is increased in the last 6 to 7 months, because this is the textiles of now the demand. And we were able to basically incorporate silver nanoparticle into fabrics, and it shows excellent antimicrobial properties, and these papers are published. And also we not only silver but selenite, some of the elements in the periodic table we tried, and it also shows this. Now, while we are doing all this thing, we come across, like during the pandemic time, this is the what we call as innovation, that we utilize this crisis for development of such thing. So EcoScience, which is a private company based in Pune, they actually wanted their fabric technology to be developed, and then to validate their technology for antimicrobial and antiviral properties. So this is the task that we had, and this actually are my team, and this is the director of EcoScience Innovation, and this is my faculty, Professor P.S. Patil and K.D. Power, and these are all the students who are working with me during the pandemic time. And this is how the innovation of virus covered spray fabric technology comes into picture. Now, with our expertise in manipulating textiles with materials, this has come into handy, because during this pandemic time of COVID-19, COVID-19 is caused by what we call as SARS type of virus, which are categorized as SARS-CoV-2. So this SARS-CoV-2, the problem is that they spread through what we call as the droplets of our cough or sneezing. So basically, this has got a very reasonable thing, because as I go, I'll show you some of the slides which are very interesting to see why we need to be careful about the fabrics and the masks that we wear. So now the problem is that this clothing and linens offer porous, warm environment. That's because they are in contact with the body, and their microbes grows at our body temperature very happily. So basically that's one of the reason. And this, when any microbe sits onto the surface of the fabric, if you touch, then there is a huge chance of contamination, cross-contamination. And with SARS-CoV-2 especially, it is very dangerous. When we do not have a vaccine right now, the best way of prevention is through preventive measures, by applying disinfectant, by applying such kind of materials which will inhibit or deactivate the virus or microbes. So now this is the interesting part. Some of these studies, they have already shown on different surfaces how long the SARS-CoV-2 can exist. And these are from some of the report, and you can see in copper it will be up to 4 days, and cardboard it will be about 48 hours, and in stainless steel it will be about this is also same 48 hours. In plastic it will be around 72 hours. So they remain active. So these numbers are all scientifically proven, and it's being published, and this is what they study. Of course, here why they put some kind of reason here is because even if you have a 10, they can multiply and they can form this thing. So basically they extend it up to 96 and so on. So this is what it is. And most surprisingly, if you look into those are metal and plastic surfaces, but when you look into paper, tissue paper, wood, cloth, glass, whatever we wear is cloth part. So if we focus on this star means it has got some kind of still some count is there. So basically they have, if you don't keep it, they can remain, some of the virus remains for at least 7 days onto the surface of our cloth, any fabric that you take. So this is one of the reason why we need to develop a technology which will inhibit the SARS-CoV-2 from the surface of our clothing. So that is one of the reason why this innovation took place. And when we look into the antimicrobial or antiviral agent that is available in market, you can see these are all this type, and the limitations are very clear here. So we also need to design a antimicrobial and antiviral agent such that the toxicity is reduced, and then it is eco-friendly also. So with that thing in our view, like the design has to be in such that a fabric, when you apply anything, it should form a very thin layer onto the each of this what we call as the yarns of the fabric, and that is what we call as nano layer, and that is why nanotechnology comes into picture. So when you spray, when it coats into the yarns in the like very thin in terms of 10 to 15 nanometer each, then basically it is called as nano coating. So that's why nanotechnology comes into picture here. So this material which we spray should not be toxic, and it should be eco-friendly. And this is how the constituents are that citric acid, well, citric acid as such you can take, but then there are like there will be many bottlenecks. But in our case, which the company has also not revealed to me also, but then it's a citric acid based what we call as oligomer. So that is what it is, and it contains also what is called as benzalkonium chloride. So these two materials are FDA approved, and they are known as what we call as GRAS. They are categorized as GRAS, which is known as generally recognized as safe by the US Environmental Protection Agency and recognized by the FDA. So this is the basis of the choice of material that you need to get into, because when you invent something and if you cannot test, then at this time, where is the facility for testing? If you want to do cytotoxicity, then where is the facility? Because every lab is closed. So you have to also look into the fact that whatever whatever the information is available, you have to use all this. So the company has used these particular things, and then we formulated together, and the liquid that we had was tested for both gram-positive and gram-negative bacteria, through what we call as agar-well diffusion method, where you will see here that this is the control. In control, we only take the buffer or the water as this. So a particular aliquot of water is taken, whereas we the culture, bacterial culture aliquot, the same aliquot amount of aliquot was put into this and then spread out. And after that, after spreading this in this well, what we did was we put the liquid, the same amount of aliquot that we have taken for the water or the PBS as a control. Now we see here that there is no zone of innovation. That means the bacteria is seen all around this well, whereas you have this zone of innovation which is clear here. So what it shows is that for both gram-positive and gram-negative, this formulated liquid was antimicrobial. And so that is what the initial test that we did. Then we come to a very distinct protocol, what we call as JISL 1902 ISO 20743 for textile testing protocol. This is Japanese textile testing protocol. For any commercialization, we cannot do by taking a piece of cloth or the fabric and then do the agar well diffusion plate. No. So we need to follow a certain industrially viable or accepted protocol, and luckily we are able to have a hand in this protocol and be trained in this, and we had a very good result with this, and along by this process we were able to show that when you spray on any amount of fabric, you take any part of that fabric and then do the test through the protocol, you get no bacterial growth on the coated fabric, whereas these are controlled. So what you see here is that you have basically the fabric is antimicrobial. So we have tested here, this picture shows 15 minutes, even we have tested for 5 minutes, which gives the very, the same kind of results. So that is what we call as more the aggressive way of testing. So 5 minutes, 15 minutes, 1 hour, 2 hours. So you do it and you see the clear no bacteria growth found in this. And this actually we fit into a formula and we calculate the percentage of bacterial killing. So that is why we call it 99.99 plus. So that is when you don't see any this, and this is compared with this number of colonies that is formed in the control. So these are the table that we are seeing, and the first 1 to 6, serial number 1 to 6 is their control, and you will see that the reduction in bacteria growth is very less, is less than 10, right? Now, whereas when you do the coated fabrics, like from 7 to 18, what you see is the reduction in bacteria growth is above 99.99 plus. When we say plus, we cannot say 100% because we can say 100%, but the problem is that although we do not see any microbial growth onto the petri dish, we cannot say that. So therefore, to be safer, this is the nomenclature that normally when you don't see any bacterial growth as compared to the control, then you put 99.9 plus. So whatever the formulation that the spray formulation that we had was actually acting 99.9% antimicrobial. That means both gram negative and the gram positive. And you can see the aggressive timing, and you can see that it is all working up to 1 hour, 2 hour, etc. So we have not shown the result of that. One of the interesting thing about the imaging is this. So can you ever imagine that through same you can see the growth of this bacteria contaminated onto the surface of a textile? So this is what we see. So what we did was we contaminated one of the control fabric, which is non-treated or non-spread with the bacteria. In this case, we contaminated with S. aureus, and then we actually mapped through same image, and we located the colony formation. And this is what we call as a grapes-like berry colony of typical S. aureus bacteria, which is the same as that it reported, for the bacteria. So what you can see is you can confirm this by, but when you look into the treated fabrics, what is happening is you don't see this. So basically what is happening is it forms these small layers are nothing but these are the sprayed layers. So that is why we call it nano layers. And what you see here is that because of that nano layers, this bacteria is being deactivated. They do not grow. They cannot grow on that. So this is what it is. Now, this is the part that we did in our development, method development, and then product development. And we saw that it was proven that 99.9% it kills both gram negative and the positive gram positive bacteria. Now, coming to testing of antiviral. Antiviral testing, it's very tricky. Like, as I said, many of us scientists can show on paper that, okay, we can do antimicrobial activity and we can publish a paper. But for a production level, okay, we need to have a different method. So similarly, with the crisis that we are having, and with the rush in national virology testing labs, there are only 2 labs that are available. One is NIV, as well as another one is in IISc Bangalore. So basically, these are they are allowed to do virus testing, but because of the huge workload and the lack of people, huge queue is there. So the thing is, we need to go out and do this testing. So we actually carried out the antiviral testing with direct SARS-CoV-2 virus, which is the causing virus of COVID-19 pandemic. And what we saw was like very like it was super, because this method was very recently developed, and it is called as ISO 18184, and in the year 2019. And unfortunately, yes, I have to admit that such methods is not available in India. And that, therefore, for fabric testing, we need to go abroad. And such method is available only in 7 laboratory all over the world. And this viral testing are done on a laboratory which is categorized as biosafety level 4, BSL4 lab. So those are that certification should be there. Until and unless that, you cannot work with this virus. So what this picture shows is that on the left side, what you see is there are triplicate of fabrics which is uncoated, and these are introduced with same number of virus. And after some time, when you after I think it's 48 hours of time, you see the reduction in the growth of virus. So what is happening is that after 48 hours, there is a decrease of 77 to 100% reduction in the growth of this SARS-CoV-2 on the uncoated fabric. Now, when the fabric is coated with the spray that is being developed, what is happening is onto your right. You see almost 0. That means, although you have inoculated or put in the same amount of virus, same number of virus on all the 6 sample, what is happening? There is a reduction in the control, 77, and some retains 100%, but some reduces to 77%. Whereas when this fabric is coated with the virus covered spray, what is happening is it reduces to almost 0. That means it is deactivating the spray that is being sprayed onto the fabric, is deactivating the SARS-CoV-2 in the testing time of 48 hours, in the waiting time of 48 hours. So what is happening is, so this was not basically, we didn't have this, and then they also repeated with a less number of virus inoculation, and they found the same thing. So this is how it concluded that whatever the spray that has been developed here is actually inactivating almost 99.9% of SARS-CoV-2, which is a pathogen of COVID-19 pandemic. And this is in a very brief schematic diagram for the understanding point of view. What we are doing is we are actually proposing the antiviral mechanism for the virus covered spray. As I said, what happen is on a fabric, when you spray, it forms a layer of this material onto the each of this yarn, and this layer basically, when SARS-CoV-2 virus comes and sit here, what is happening is it actually destroys the virus, and when it disintegrates the virus is definitely, it is being disintegrated and it is no more active. So this is how schematically we propose. Of course, from chemistry point of view, well, let me just tell you that a virus has got some lipid. This SARS-CoV-2 is particularly is a protein lipid mixture of membrane, and what is happening is we need to dissolve that membrane to disintegrate the virus or to make it deactivate. Now here it is possibly that it is the materials are dissolving, and of course there are other ways that the free radical chemistry comes into a picture here also, and by any free radical like highly oxidizing radical like OH radical, if it is formed, what will happen? It will basically attack the protein as well as the lipid membrane, and it will disintegrate. So it should, but the enough concentration of oxidizing radicals should be out present there. So these are the two possible mechanisms that may be happening. And so with this innovation, we were able to launch this product as along with the CEO of the company is Mr. Jain Mehtar. He's the CEO and he's the director, Mr. Rajay Mehtar. And this is our acting Vice Chancellor, which is also presently Vice Chancellor of Savitribai Phule Pune University. And this is our register. So on 18th of August, we release this through our this thing in the hands of our Vice Chancellor. And it took about 1 month to come up with all the FDA bottleneck questionnaires, as I said, TRL 8 and 9 to overcome that. So basically we had to struggle, and then finally the spray is out in the market with all the necessary FDA approval, and I hope that this may at least help particularly the corona warriors. Right now it is now the lockdown is open. So for each and every person, at least you have a kind of sense of security if you use this product, as it has been proven for sure that it protects or deactivates 99.99% of this SARS-CoV-2 as well as other microbes like bacteria, gram-negative and gram-positive. So this is the success story of this lockdown period, and the nanotechnology. If you do not understand the coating, nano coating, then this would not have been possible. And somehow, although the materials are not nano, but whatever the layer that is being formed onto the fabric is basically a nano layer. So basically it comes into nanotechnology, and when we are able to do that, the pressure, the pneumatic pressure that you need to apply and all these things, these are all sciences which we need to know in order to develop all this, come about these bottlenecks. So that is one of the success story. The problem identification, the ingredients are very simple. However, we need to really work hard how to overcome the bottlenecks and the questions, and in each and every step we have to discuss with not only me, it is not only my idea, but we need to be very work together, like with the industry, Mr. Jain Mehtar was very helpful in discussing each and every bottleneck He was also helping me, and when he has any problem, we had to discuss. Mr. Ajay Mehta was working with me for almost, at 11 midnight and so on. So this is how we can basically, if we have the will to give something back to the society, then you also have all the ways out. That is what I have learned from this. Finally, I would like to acknowledge the students who have been working with this project, and then our HOD, Professor P.S. Patu, and he's also a investigator in this project, and Dr. K.D. Power also. And of course, Dr. Yojna is one of the expertise in environmental science, and she has helped me with the MPN test and all these things. And of course, Dr. Neeraj, who has been very helpful in some characterization and then discussion and all these things. And yes, the fundings are essential, and this is one of the first time in Shivaji University, Kolhapur, that a multinational company called Creton Polymers, they have carried out this pilot project with me. This is which has something to do with the current situation, and of course, EcoScience. We are able to now develop their technology into product, and then now it is in the market. And of course, SDP-RUSA, where they have funded the Center for Nanofabrics, without which we would not be in a position to help all these things that is being carried out now. So finally, I think I have taken a lot of time, but I take it easy this time so that I complete my story. So I thanks everyone of Khangminashi in this, and thank you once again to the organizers, Dr. Jaydev, the director, KKT, and the consultant, KKT, Dr. Luwang. So, thank you, Professor Paume, for your patience. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. You spent lots of energy for us. It was a very nice talk, and it's very encouraging. I think everyone like it, and hope everyone will try to do that at the same way. So may I take some questions if anyone have any questions?
One question is in the set.
Yeah, that I'll pick up. That is from S. Patil.
Yes.
That is, what is the role of surfactants that is in the nanoparticles part? Sir has mentioned about some of the surfactants. So S. Patil asks about what is the role of that surfactants?
So surfactants, basically, the definition itself says that it has got a head and a tail. The tail is basically the non-polar group, whereas the head is a polar group. So when you put the surfactant in some organic or what we call as a polar solvent, then it aggregates itself and it directs itself. Whether it is a tail or head, they agglomerate and they kind of form a structure. So when you increase the concentration of these micelles, then these micelles arranges themselves to form a definite structure. And through when we are doing all this chemistry with surfactant, what we do is we love water, because water is where our precursors are soluble. So what is happening is since water channels are there in all those in between the micelles agglomeration, they actually, that water channels can carry the precursor metal ions or any material, and we can reuse at that site, and it basically gives you the shape that you want. Now, when you put some co-surfactant onto it, then this micelles destabilizes, and then it forms another stable form, and that is why you have cylindrical, you have cubical, you have lamellar. So three types of shape that you can obtain by varying the ratio of oil. Oil is the organic part, and the co-surfactant ratio. So there are many papers. One of the paper is in chemistry of materials in 2000. I guess it is in 2009 by Gita Rani Surendran and In Remita. So you can refer to that. And Ramos is there, and they are like they are very useful paper, and you will be able to understand about this. But the basic thing is it's a physical chemistry where it starts from formation of micelles when you put it into either organic or dielectric solvent. Yeah.
Yes.
I hope it answers the question.
Yeah.
Yeah, Dr. Kiran, I have one question.
Okay.
Yeah. First of all, thank you very much, and congratulations to you for the good inventory of the invention of this for the mankind. I don't know if I missed out. I don't know if I missed out when you say the spray of this virus covers on the fabric.
Mhm.
Does it include on the mask as well, the face mask, or is only to our normal shirt or t-shirt, etc.? That's what I wanted to know. And how safe is it to use on the mask? If there are different types of mask, can we use it or not?
Yeah. So the answer is any kind of fabric, and that includes the upper this thing layer of the mask. So the testing for the skin has been done, and as I said, it is a the materials are included in brass. Although we do not suggest direct application onto the skin, but as long as you apply onto the fabric, coming into contact with the skin from the fabric is not a non-issue. So you can use it for even the upper layer of the mask. Yeah.
Okay, thank you. And one more question again. This has been already available in the market as you mentioned earlier also, and you mentioned today. Has there been any kind of what you call encouragement from the government of India or in like to make it available throughout the country? Has there been any kind of initiative from the government side?
Till now, this was being stuck as because of FDA approval, and there was some because August 18 we released it, but then we need to go into many process of approval, and we had some issues with the FDA approval, and I think it was on the Ganesh Ganesh Chaturthi. I think that was being approved, and because of the lockdown issue also, there has been a problem with the this thing. But yes, of course, the government, the company is coming up with a big advertisement, and hopefully with that advertisement, it will be reaching to government. And one thing is there that this actually project, startup project, is being shortlisted as a finalist in Atal startup this thing. So I think there is a good chance that they will be getting that startup. So from the government side, I guess like this is just now the lack of publicity. So the publicity is now going to be taken care by the company as soon as possible, and with the lockdown being slowly unwounded, hopefully it will reach to the public as well as the common sectors. Yeah.
All right. Thank you, and I wish you and your team all the best. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Or anyone else? There is one question from Vimolini. You can ask if you are there, Vimolini.
Yes, sir. Sir. Hello, sir.
Yeah, I can hear.
Yes, sir. Actually, that one I'm hearing your topic from starting on what is very interesting and it will very helpful to the students also.
Thank you.
Actually, I'm from the Mizoram University.
Okay.
Yeah, some of my students also listening your that one, your this one, your presentation. So that one question is then, so sir, you are talking about that fabric, na? Fabric spray. Yeah, sir. Even though you are not suggested for that to use it directly on the skin, suppose if you want to if you think for the journey, sometimes we need to save from the environment. Na? So I just we want to that we use for few hours or something. So can we use for that hours? So after that we can wash out everything.
No, madam, what I will suggest is that we are strictly we have to strictly follow the guidelines of FDA. And as per the FDA,
Yes,
although it is classified this, we cannot claim that it can be used. So it is strictly for external use only and on fabrics particularly. So please do not use on the skin directly. Well, if the fabric has got been coated and if it is in contact with the skin, there will be no problem because we have tested that also. So.
Yes, another one is that one whether that product will be available in the Amazon or there's some company or not, so that we can that one.
Yeah, this is now classified. Yeah, this is now classified as disinfectant, and then this will be available in majorly on pharmacy. So and then any so I guess
then we can that one find it, no? Exactly.
Yeah, in Manipur particularly, I guess the latest date that I got is the first shipment has already gone, and it will be by this end of this month. Manipur will have some of those. So,
sir, for about the Mizoram, we are in the Mizoram. We want to come to the Manipur.
so I guess like Manipur can handle that because now I think he's being chosen as distributor of the Northeast region. So
sir.
I can give you through KKT. I can.
Yes, sir. Actually, sir, I'm also one of the member of the KKT. So.
Okay. So what I can do is I can get the information of that person in Manipur, the distributor, and then you can this thing. So
yeah.
I guess,
sir, one another question, sir.
Yeah, Bimolini wants to know is the online platform where anybody can get the material.
Yeah.
Is there any online retail platform?
Online is there, and I have already given the link, but I will now share with the KKT, and you can also like.
Sir.
Yeah. So online is available.
Okay, sir.
Hello.
Yeah, online. I'm asking about the online, so that all of these people can. Hello.
Yeah.
Sure.
Hello.
Yeah.
Hello. One more question, sir, please. If you have that one.
Sure.
Hello.
Please go ahead.
Yeah. So one more question. I just want to ask one more question. Yes. So some of my students are that one. They are prepare that one. They are doing works on the organic synthesis. This is organic molecule, which are supposed to be bio-friendly, but they want to correlate with this nanotechnology.
Okay.
So how to correlate this one, sir? Please suggest regarding about that one.
So yeah, that's where we come into picture, like the chemistry. Yeah. Chemistry is this thing of nature, and so the thing is formulation is an important parameter here, and what type of application on what you want to use, depending on that, we can formulate actually.
Okay.
With other ingredients, we need to have a binder. We need to have a certain kind of additives. And so on, and we can actually think about the way of delivering, whether it is through dip coating or whether it is through spray, whether how it functions, whether it means it can be developed, but the first and foremost thing is we have to identify for what purpose, what kind of application it is required, so that after that particular identification, we can go ahead with the formulation and then the delivery, technology. Like for example, here also
Okay,
it was
okay, sir.
liquid, and we use a spray. We didn't use anything, so
Yeah,
that
yeah.
is how, yeah.
Hello.
Is there
Okay.
any very important?
Thank you, sir.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
you're
Thank
welcome.
you, Malini. Is there
Okay,
any one very important question? I think the speaker may be tired of speaking.
I think there is one from Subhas.
Subhas,
Hello, Dr. Kiran. Congratulations at the first. But one more question from It is a common question, layman question for everyone. So though I have met major part of your initial lecture, whether I missed it out or not, I don't know. But this is a simple question: whether is there any recognition or certification for a domestic use like ISA or ICMR for this use of this fabric for common people?
Yeah, so that's a very this is a valid question, and we have all the necessary. Our university is ISO certified, so basically our lab stands on its own, and plus it is not it's a foolproof. What they've done is they've done with a central laboratories also, where it is Silcott is there, where it deals only with fabrics only, fabric technology. So there are 3-4 labs where antimicrobial testing has been done as per the this thing, and FDA has no questions on that. So basically, the FDA approves only when such test report. So it's not a certification. We normally don't give a certification. We give a test report where it says that this, and that test report is basically valid for the FDA considered as validated. So we are one of the body where we have validated all these whatever the central government institute has done and so on, and we have been a part of this thing as a part of a pilot project. So that is how ours is also a ISO this thing, and we therefore claim that we have validated everything, except that the virus is for the virus. Everyone understands that in India the facilities are lacking, and there are only 7 labs in the world who can do on fabric. So that is why whatever the test that is on the virus that has been carried out in USA is being validated.
Thank you.
Hello.
Okay, you can ask
Nancy.
Nancy.
Hi. Good evening, everyone. My name is Nancy Hoidram from Pune. Thank you, sir, for the extremely useful talk. This is perhaps an eye-opener to all of us as well as the government of India. So, sir, you've mentioned that there are very few universities and small research institutions in India for nanoscience and technology. And also, India has been ranked 3rd in terms of publication regarding nanoscience. So my question is, how many universities or institutions in India are offering PG and UG courses for students in nanoscience and technology? Thank you.
Yes, Nancy, it's a very relevant question. We are proud that Shivaji University is one of the first university who started the UG-PG course. Means it's a integrated 5 years course, and this is the first university in India who has started this. And the reason of why we started this integrated course is because normally many universities and engineering colleges, they have already offered nanotechnology as a M.Tech nanotechnology, then MSc nanotechnology is all. Most of the university, they have started through UGC 11 plan. However, the problem is that there is lack of assimilation of this science for those students who have just finished graduate either in engineer or any other branch and coming and directly joining MTech or MSc. So basically there was a gap, knowledge gap, and Shivaji University actually found that this gap can be fulfilled only when we train the students right after their 12th. So that is how we started this, and right now we are still proud, although SPP Pune University they are having BSc Nanotechnology in Ferguson College, and in one of the colleges in Nasik, KKT, I think, college in Nasik, they are offering BSc in nanotechnology. But for MSc, I think there are only a few universities who are offering either in Maharashtra as well as all over India. There are not much, one or two. I think Mumbai is one of them because they have a nanoscience center out there. And other is in the south where all the private university they are offering this MSc nanoscience or MSc nanotechnology. And of course, for the engineering, they have this MTech nanotechnology is there. But for integrated courses, Shivaji University remains the only university who is offering such type of program. I hope I answered your question, Nancy.
Yes, thank you.
Okay. Or anyone else?
If anybody wants to ask questions, yeah, please, you can ask because I can.
Yeah,
I still have, today I'm really, yeah, particularly for Khangminashi. So this is let us know together. So this is a program where
I will like to raise one query here from the speaker. As we have mentioned regarding this TRL, as it has come to the picture recent, I should say, become much popular very recently.
Correct.
And it is a structure where everybody in the country or in the world has to follow. My query is that there are lots of things that is actually happening in every part of the world, like which become very viral. For example, in Manipur, one guy has come up with something like hand sanitizer, automatic hand sanitizer, something like that. So there are many things coming up from the layman perspectives.
Right.
So I just want to know that what are the things that they need to follow, and at what stage they have to come in. Like it is just a fully developed prototype, so it will come something around like TRL5 kind of thing. So can you give a small comment on such innovation? Who doesn't have any something like basic scientific background or something, how they can come into the picture, and what are the opportunities that government are giving like that? So
yeah. So basically, I wouldn't say that a layman coming out with a hand sanitizer can be, in the level of TRL5. Yes, so that's this thing. So if a layman, a person is having a idea in his mind, and if he is able to formulate all this thing, it needs to be tested. And in order to test that, they have to get hold of some kind of expert. And this expert sits in like universities as well as, like, for example, for the virus coverage fabric spread technology, they got hold of us because we knew about the fabrics and we know about some of the antimicrobial testing and then all this thing. So they got hold of us, and then we did their validation. And of course, they are private company. However, for a layman also, if their idea is feasible, and if their this thing is, whether it is scientific, whether it will be feasible or not, it is dependent on the expert, and they need to get in touch with the experts from the university, from the institute, or like KKT, I would say, because KKT is now planning to have some expertise in their panel, so that if any idea, nascent idea comes in, whether it will be feasible or not, that will be decided, right? So the government of India basically is funding startup. So startup is one of the initiative where you can contact any incubation center. So if you have a nation idea, then you can contact an incubation center nearby you. And this incubation center will tell you, guide you, whether it will be feasible or whether it is not feasible. And they also even help you to put a proposal on a platform where it will be deemed fit. So without validation of testing, validation of this testing and all the other thing that has been claimed, like a idea cannot jump into TRL5. So you need to have all those documentation, and if those documentations are lacking, then nobody can jump up to TRL5 for a for a common people. But of course, for those college teacher who have already this idea and they have already started experimenting and they are getting some results up to TRL3 stage or so, then basically they can also initiate to get in touch with the incubation centers in various government, because incubation centers are now very common. Of course, in Maharashtra, I see many of them, but I don't know about other states. And in Manipur also, I suggest that the Manipur University or any kind of technical university, whoever it is, they should take this initiative and then set up an incubation center, so that whatever the nation idea that is coming out from the local people can be translated into some kind of useful thing. So that is what I actually feels right at the bottom of my heart.
Hello, Dr. Kiran.
Hi, yeah, please.
It's really inspiring. A lot of good work. Top of the world kind of best of the class works you have done, and a hearty congratulations for that. And
thank you.
Much more in the future. Just to share with what Dr. Neeraj was telling. This TRL level is, one of the basic requirement for all the DRDO projects since last 5 years or so. So we categorize, SMT, Science and Technology project, then Technology Development project, then the, directly mission mode where it can directly go to the users and things like that. So we have this TRL level 1 to 3 and 3 to 7. There's some overlap. So as you explained rightly, and it's really interesting that academia are into all these ideas and coming closer to really transforming the ideas and science into public benefits. Okay, it's really good. And what interests me most in your talk and your work was that of water purification. Of course, without demeaning the recent development, and at least with the eco-science you have done. That's in fact a great milestone and achievement for this current prevailing situation. The water purification interests me because in our back at home, we have a lot of people today, right today in the 21st century, consuming natural water resources. And we don't have a public health distribution system where this water supply is taken care of very nicely for various reasons. Though there were some setups of water supplies using government funds and so on, but nevertheless we saw that they are not working properly throughout the year, unlike what we see here in developed urban areas. So it becomes a very important essential thing for places like ours back at home. And also it is it's linked with the rural and urban divide. Correct. And more now I'm talking in terms of our DRDO parlance. So I'm looking at those soldiers staying far outside in the remote areas. They will also need this kind of technology, which is very simple, handy, and you can use natural water available nearby and converts into potable. So I look forward, for any kind of such, if a product can be converted. You mentioned that you are stuck at some level. It gives me more hope that maybe, because our lab was, I remember in the past, we're doing some, potable water conversion and so on, filtration and so on earlier. So maybe I'll have a look and then come back.
Yeah, definitely. Like, so there's some engineering part is still like I need to find that. Yeah. So where I would be requiring your help, definitely. Yeah.
Yeah, we'll see. I mean, it's really interesting. Thank you so much. It's a really inspiring talk.
Right.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much. So anyone? So I will discuss later on, and I think we can contact personally also. Sir is ready, so we can discuss and we can ask by email or by any other means. And sir, you can check the chat room also. There are lots of congratulations and lots of best wishes in the chat room for you. Thank you very much, and thank you, KKT. And thank you, my friend, Dr. Zadev and Dr. Niras, for such opportunity and for such time. I think we hope, and I wish you too, or I wish KKT also, to bring forward such a very important platform again in future. So I hand over to Dr. Niras. You can take your time.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Professor Gangam Paumai, for kindly agreeing to share this particular session. Actually, it has been a very long talk, and we are able to see a huge amount of energy from Professor Kiran. He is highly enthusiastic, and I think he has actually done justice to the Khangminashi series, where our main intention is how a person comes up with an idea, then how it goes to the proof of concept and different TRL phases, and finally it comes up as a form of product in front of your table. So there are lots of steps involved, and I am of the opinion that Professor Kiran has kindly justified and explained, and he is a person who has experienced all the different stages of TRL, starting from 0 to 9. So I would like to thank Professor Kiran on behalf of the organizing committee, KKT and MitSna. And I would also like to thank Professor Gangam Paumai on behalf of the organizing committee for chairing the session. And last but not the least, I would like to thank all the participants who have spent the time to participate in this webinar. Actually, this is the first of its kind in the Khangminashi series. It has been done on the physical platform, but due to this pandemic, people has to change, everybody has to change, so we have to change to move forward. So we have changed on a virtual platform, and here we are able to actually perform nicely, I should say, without any technical hits or any issues. And I would like to give a small information to all the participants that all the participants who have done the online registration and who has participated today will be given a certificate. And the full recording of this session will be on the YouTube channel of KKT Imphal, so anybody can watch it later on. And with these few words, on behalf of the organizing committee, KKT Imphal and the MitSna Imphal, I would like to formally close this Khangminashi session number 7, and I will look forward for the Khangminashi session number 8, which will be shared to all of you in the near future. So thank you all.
Thank you.
Thank you very much for the full support.
Thank you. Bye.